Charter of Orange Village, and that I will faithfully, honestly and impartially discharge my duties as Councilman of Orange Village, State of Ohio, during my continuance in said office. Welcome, Blair. Congratulations. You're all welcome to stay. We'll sign this. It's not.
Congratulations.
Mazel tov. May you do another 32 years.
If you sign that, turn it in, maybe you'll get a suitable for framing copy. I say that, I don't know if anyone ever gets it.
We'll ask everybody to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anna, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Harry?
Yes.
Braverman?
Here.
Silver?
Here.
Klein? Bilski?
Here. Okay. We're going to open up the public hearing to consider a request for a variance of 13 feet from the Orange Village zoning code to permit a deck to be constructed not nearer than 12 feet from the western rear lot line of the property located at 324 Lake Victoria Court, Orange Village, Ohio.
Does anybody here from Judd? Because I
No.
fully expected him to explain on this. Well, Judd,
We discuss it?
yeah, he's supposed to be here.
No.
Is there anybody here that would like to speak about this? There's a microphone over here. You could please state your name.
I'm Laura Adams, and I live at 324 Lake Victoria Court in Orange Village, and I'm a new resident this past year, and I'm looking forward to building a deck in my house. Without a variance, I would not actually be able to build a deck. Period. The only thing that would, because of the way the line cuts across the property.
We still have time for Judd to get here.
Okay.
The agenda.
Okay.
We don't want
I
to.
have no idea.
Any other comments from council? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Do we want to vote on this now, or do we want to wait for,
You can. I mean, I can address it if people have questions.
are there any questions?
Is,
I saw that Brian Hitt voted no. Why did he?
The
That I can answer.
Okay, go ahead.
As a result of this, because we've been asked for too many variances on the decks in Lakes of Orange, this being the biggest one, but we became a little bit sensitive to the new plans, and now new plans coming in, we're making sure they won't need a variance to get a deck, but Brian had enough.
Okay, all right.
He just took
is
it
it like
out
where
on
the
them.
homes are being placed in the lots?
Well, you know, this allows a deck for this lot, which is uniquely configured. It's got roadway on a couple sides, so it has more than one rear lot line, which is defined as something that's opposite of the street line or the front line. And so this property is unique in that way. The property next door that is most immediately impacted has its side yard facing towards it.
I saw the pictures, yeah.
Side yard, you know, the side yards within that development don't have as much distance between them. And it's only because the street bends around that this is the side yard, but a rear yard. So it's a uniquely configured lot, and, you know, there's a policy decision to be made at the time of planning and zoning, whether they want to force people to have smaller house sizes in order to fit on these lots, or if a variance of some size is an acceptable choice.
Well, we're hoping now
Yeah.
to prevent that. It will happen again.
Yeah.
Not too much.
But it may not, it shouldn't be 13 feet. or-
And it shouldn't be a surprise to us
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah, so. But when you have uniquely shaped lots, which turns out they aren't so unique, but.
Yeah.
Well, we had 3 new ones last night, and believe you, we all looked at the rear yard setback and calculated, the size of the deck that would interfere.
Any other comments or questions about this? Can I get a motion to adopt the final order and conclusions of fact for a rear yard variance for 324 Lake Victoria Court?
Motion made.
Is there a second? Will you please call the roll?
Luder?
Yes.
Perry?
Yes.
Braverman?
Yes.
Silver?
Yes.
Bilski?
Yes. Welcome to stay, but you don't have to if you don't like.
Good luck.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda, can I get a motion to approve the council minute meetings? Sorry?
Do we have to bring the special meeting to order now? Or
We already closed the public hearing.
Get those?
then do we bring the meeting to order after that?
You didn't already put that down? Okay, show it, it was implicitly called it to order when he started discussing the council's business, so. That was a call to order.
All right, perfect, thank you, sorry.
Yes.
I'm going to ask Judd if he has anything to say about what we just passed.
Late now.
Get a motion to approve the council meeting minutes of November 13th, 2019. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Klein. Will you call the roll, please?
Luder?
Yes.
Perry? Yes. Braverman? Silver?
Abstain.
Abstain. Klein?
Yes.
Yes.
You can still vote if you want.
A motion to reappoint Anthony Lazar to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a 3-year term ending December 1st, 2023.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Anna, can you please call the roll?
No.
Luder?
Anthony wants.
Are.
Oh, no, we told him he didn't have to be here.
Yeah,
We could just swear him in at planning and zoning.
yeah.
You want him to be here, then do it next week, and we'll ask him to come.
I definitely want him to be here.
We talked about it last night at planning, and
Assured him he didn't have to come.
I noticed that it was on the agenda for the meeting tonight,
Yeah,
and he had thought it was going to be next
it was a...
Wednesday. I think it's pretty much a formality unless there's some other,
I need to come next Wednesday?
No.
Not at all?
no.
That's stupid.
Question if he was interested in another term.
Okay.
And we're interested in having him, but once,
It doesn't, he
just want to make sure you don't want to go out and find somebody else.
Is that a motion, Lisa?
motion.
I'll second that. Does it mean, though, Mayor, he would have to be re-sworn in? Yeah, when?
Planning and zoning meeting in January.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, yeah, of course.
So Mrs. Kluter, second that,
I seconded it, I think. Yeah, I did.
please.
Luder?
Yes.
Perry?
Yes.
Braverman?
Yes.
Silver?
Yes.
Klein? Yes. Bilski?
Yes. Any audience comments relating to the agenda items only? Okay. Moving on to ordinance 2019-29, an ordinance appointing the law director and authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Singerman, Mills, Desberg, and Kantz and Stephen Lewis Bryan. You said it was Lewis last week.
That's right. That's what just came.
Yes, to provide legal services from January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020, and declaring an emergency. This is on for second reading. Are there any comments?
Want to make any in public? No.
You want to take it out back?
No, he said,
Moving on to ordinance 2019-32, amended, an ordinance appointing Blair and Melling as the prosecutor of Orange Village and providing compensation for the prosecutor and declaring an emergency. This is also on for second reading. Any comments?
This has been amended. I got a phone call from the council president who asked that we make some clarifications
In Mellings?
in Mellings, specifically, and I'm not seeing it here.
It's when
There's a red line copy.
The issue, he thought that it was too broad that if someone just makes a jury demand, there's additional compensation available. He thinks that you have to come in on a day different than regularly scheduled for there to be additional. So it tightens up the additional compensation. We double-checked, and in the last 5 years, there have been zero
Jury
extra
demand.
dollars spent
Okay.
on this. So it's preventing a problem in the future that has not been a problem in the past.
Our job.
And the other thing is that at some point, Blair may retire, and we'd want to have the form in place for the next person and be able to discuss with them.
Is there any reason, I guess we'll pass this next week?
Yeah.
It'll be a problem for him. Not a problem.
No. Yeah, I mean, he's under the current contract until the end of this year, so we're good.
Has he been in this role for a while?
Yes, long time.
It's about 2000.
Who did we have before?
You moved up. You got better. You improved in quality about 20 years ago.
The judge's brother, isn't he?
That's why we're restricted to going to Judge Paris only, because the other judge is his brother.
I know.
Any other comments? On to new business, ordinance 2019-33, an ordinance approving the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as part of the various component codes of the codified ordinances of Orange Village, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. This is on for first reading.
This is a routine piece of legislation that we do every year. It takes the new material in planning and zoning that you might pass in the course of a year.
Motion to suspend.
And then also the state changes to
Second.
traffic and general law.
There was a motion to suspend, and Mr. Klein seconded that. Hannah, vote on suspension.
The motion to suspend.
Mr. Braverman did?
Thank you. Cluter,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Braverman,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Further discussion?
Anything else to say?
No, if nobody has any questions.
Is there a motion to vote on?
The motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Hannah?
Cluter,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Braverman, Silver,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes. Moving on to ordinance 2019-34, an ordinance approving and confirming the appointment of Stephen Havancic and Associates as Orange Village engineer and repealing certain ordinances. This is on for first reading.
Maybe you will consider next week suspending and adopting like we will do the law director. It doesn't matter if you do or don't, but there's zero increases in this request for this next year's
And
contract.
the only changes from last year's ordinances were the years, where it was 2019, it's now 2020, so.
The excitement of the week passing is still worthwhile, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
I am a quiver with anticipation.
Any other comments about that ordinance? Moving on, a discussion of notice. Notice from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control on the request for a liquor permit for the Drury Southwest, Inc.
Police chief has no issues.
Technically, council has control of these issues. There's nothing the police department has flagged that would indicate that these would not be responsible permit holders. There was a time many years ago when we did object to one, and it didn't.
That was because it was drink and drive.
It was at a gas station, so this is at the motel. So.
Surprised there's still licenses available to be gotten.
It's the motel that's going to be
Big tall one,
Drury Hotel, yeah.
the new one,
Cooper's Lot.
yeah.
Pinecrest was able, they have an entertainment district, so they're able to have additional liquor license there, but
Point in objecting, so.
No.
Did you skip over the other motion? There was-
You already voted
Voted
on
on that one? That was the variance?
It got moved up to the first order of business.
Documents. Oh, you're going to pass those at the end?
What documents?
of
document?
conclusions of fact.
The
Clerk, do you have the conclusions?
Conclusion of facts? Yeah. Got it. Yeah, I do.
Are they in the package?
We're in the packet,
It was.
packets.
No,
The package.
original that council signs will be circulated.
get to my comments, I mean, you know, it's.
I'm going to frame it.
And we may need your signatures next week.
Next week?
We don't have them handy right now.
Well, did you give them to?
Next week, you know, you're gonna have to find me.
Is this what you sent last night, planning and zoning, to be delivered to?
Maybe.
Karen said she would.
Karen, send it over.
I don't know.
Did it come in our office mail?
Dave, you didn't give it to me.
Do my best.
Oh, the one that,
It came in a separate email.
okay. No, Karen, Karen.
Last night, I gave it to Karen.
And I'll make sure we get it before no one leaves, until they see it.
Okay,
No one leaves the room.
move on.
No one can leave the room until she's done.
Are there any audience comments relating to matters which advance the good of the village? Reports and council comments.
Finance Committee voted unanimously to adopt our budget for 2020. After looking at it with you all last month and then looking at it again this month. So that'll be coming probably next week for us to vote on.
Changes beyond what was distributed to us?
Which version do you have? The one that came this week?
Very few.
do I
I
have?
have a red line version.
Some redlining.
Look at the general fund.
Red,
You have that's the most current one.
he has it? Okay.
There were no changes at the Finance Committee, then?
There were no significant changes. And everything. Both.
Oh,
There were
okay.
no changes tonight, and last month you have the red line version where some things increased and some things decreased. And nothing else to report.
Yes, the appropriations amendment ordinance.
Thank you. The appropriations amendment will be coming back to us next month, too.
Week, yeah.
Thank you. And we have some end-of-the-year cleaning up and accounts to do. It's, again, some increases and some decreases that you'll see. And Dana created a very nice document to help us. That's for the appropriations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you'll get that.
And again, we'll ask to suspend and pass because this has to be done so that we close the month with positive balances and everything. Close the month and the year.
Okay, Mr. Silver?
Be sitting up here on this side of the table. I'm looking forward to it, and once again, I want to thank all my family for coming out here to support me. I appreciate it.
Back every meeting, we're sure.
I'm looking forward to sitting on that side of the table.
Will you be coming to meetings?
I will, well, I'm gonna stream, I'm a streamer. Or maybe I'm a dreamer, I don't know which. But anyhow, no, I will be back next week for my last meeting, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Okay, I can buy that.
Mr. Klein?
Planning Commission met last night, had a number of items on the agenda, including 3 new homes in the Lakes development, and some landscaping, other things. But one thing that did come up that was raised a little bit of discussion had to do with some temporary signage sought by the Drury Hotel, as they're planning to promote and advertise for hiring. And because they're sort of a landlocked facility, they don't have access to anywhere that they can put signs up on the street effectively, and they were requesting to install signs in the public right-of-way. And that was,
They're in the public right away.
we really didn't have an opportunity to discuss specifically where. We didn't,
It's a sidewalk.
They're not doing it right.
What they're doing instead is, with the cooperation of Cooper's...
Permission.
With the permission of Cooper's Hawk, they will be putting it on the Cooper's Hawk property, so it'll be visible from Harvard, and that was the solution to the problem.
so just was getting there. Thank you. And I want to welcome Brent to this side of the table,
Thank you.
and I'm looking forward to working with you over the next several years, and I'm sure it will be a very wonderful experience for you, as it has been for myself. The other thing, just as an announcement, one of the things we talked about, I think it was at the last meeting, was whether we should be looking at some other things relative to the paper bag ordinance that we passed last year. And I reached out to the City of Cleveland's Office of Sustainability and spoke with Cleveland, and spoke with Kristen Hall, who's the City of Cleveland Director of Sustainability. We talked a little bit about what City Council is doing in Cleveland relative to the county's current bag ordinance.
They're exempting themselves from the ban, aren't they?
Well, they're creating a moratorium on it. Nevertheless, from that conversation, I was invited to participate in a meeting with the county's Director of Sustainability and Kristen Hall from the City of Cleveland. That'll take place on December 12th. I think it's December 12th. And so I'll be attending that on behalf of Orange Village.
Well, I don't know what the agenda is, and I don't know what...
I don't either.
But
I don't either.
along the lines of that, I will be at a meeting tomorrow that Mike Foley will be at, Sonny Simon will be at, Mayor Jackson will be at, and one of the agenda topics is the ban.
The bag ban.
What's the county doing about the state?
The county passed it.
The county's passed it. It's
Tomorrow.
and it's still sitting potentially in the state to move on one of their home rule issues, that they may take that back and say, you can't do this program.
That's what they
But
said.
that remains to be seen as to when and where and if that will happen. So I'll hear more about it next week. I guess the mayor will hear something about it tomorrow, and we'll share war stories.
Before you pass on to, that's the wrong word, before you go on to Ms. Kluter, would you mind commenting on the Adams thing and the other,
The variance that passed before you got here.
looking for variances in the lakes?
Well, the
discussion that was had, let's put
well, I was obviously part of the discussion in Planning Commission at our last session when this particular issue was raised. Because of the irregularity of the properties and the setbacks that occur behind many of the houses, there are some restrictions on what they can and can't do relative to creating decks.
Right.
And we have been, fortunately, in fact, the three houses we just looked at yesterday don't have that. In fact, they could put gargantuan decks behind their house if they wanted to, but only have a small patio and a small deck behind the house that fits within it. So we've had this ongoing discussion, whether it made sense to change the regulation on the setback to eliminate the need for some of these variances, or just continue to deal with them on a case-by-case basis. It makes more sense to deal with them on a case-by-case basis than to create sort of a blanket zoning change that may have some unintended consequences as well. So we can look at each house as we have and consider the conditions and the facts of the case. Each one is individual. Most of these, fortunately, this is the first one where there's another house adjacent, but most of them have not had anyone around them.
We've always done it. I don't think there'll be a volume that would keep us from, would require we do it differently, will there be? No.
Can't foresee that.
The volume. Okay.
So it's just a matter of making, a reasonable request on the part of the homeowner for these, and making sure that they're fully aware when they purchase their properties that they may be subjected to a variance. Because the woman, the woman who came in this evening was totally unaware that there was that potential at all. So it is incumbent upon the developer to let them know that when they purchase their property.
I think that's kind of what I was thinking, is that,
Hasn't been back though since this happened. We should tell.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the developer ought to know about these things before they have to come to us for
The
a
home
variance.
builders.
Yeah. Well, we haven't seen Keith for a while, and so Keith Filipowski from Pulte Homes, who's building most of these houses. And I looked at least at this one, had we seen that potential early on? Could we have manipulated the plan somewhat to minimize the impact? And there really wasn't a better way to solve it. So, that's the reason that you allow for variances. That's the reason that opportunity is available in the code.
Can I just make one more comment about this?
Sure.
I think that we have to be very careful in explaining to the developers that we're not enabling them to build these gigantic houses, knowing that they're going to be able to have their customer come in and say, oh, I had no idea, and I that we're kind of encouraging a bad.
We've had that discussion.
Agree.
We've had that discussion, and
Our antennae are up, and we're watching.
we're really sensitized to this opportunity and situation every time a house comes in over there, whether it's a new house being planned or where they're coming in for, most of the time when they're coming in for a deck, it's after the house is built. Because many of the houses are built over there without a deck being included in it.
What, most of them add a deck.
They added.
But they're adding a deck, but we're starting to recognize
It's in the dark.
When they leave it.
they're taking a more proactive role on that.
In the air.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're gonna,
Where they have the little, what I call Juliet balcony
Right.
to nowhere, and eventually they're going to have to do something with that. And whether there is sufficient room without a setback variance, or if there is, we ought to be thinking about it ahead of time, particularly when they're citing the house.
The mayor explained to us, because I wanted to know why Brian voted no, and she explained that you are on top of this, and that there will be requests for variances, but they may be less than more, hopefully, if you're tightening up, your protocol. So.
Well, I think, as I said, I think we're becoming much more focused in on it when the house is coming in, when they're bringing the preliminary design in for approval of the footprint for the house, to make sure that there is an opportunity for a deck that may come later.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to assume that they will come later.
Good.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Fine.
Thank you. The bag business, it's really interesting. I was out to dinner on Sunday night and taking carry-out. I was really excited. They gave me a little brown bag, not here, not in Orange, but I don't think people are resenting, being much more conscious of the environment, especially with the younger generation, and they're the ones who are keeping us on our toes, because they really, really know that we are self-destructing the way things are, so.
European Union has had this ban 3 or 5 years. I mean, this is common outside the United States.
And also, the straw business, they ask you now, do you want a straw or don't you want a straw? So we're going back about, I won't say the number of years, but we're going back a while where we started out that way. Now, plastic didn't do it. We're killing the oceans, we're ruining the environment, so I'm all for this. So, thank you, Bob Zugan, are you with me? For you're extending the leaf pickup by, oh, you did already? Well, I thank you for doing that, it was really nice of you.
The last day, wasn't it?
Yeah, but you extended it by a week, was it? No, thank you. And
Really done, right?
There are no more leaves allowed in Orange.
And your lights outside, when I drove in, it looks like fairyland. It's all twinkling. You've done a super job. Thank you. Congrats, Brent.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard, and may you too be blessed with 32 years of public service. Know your charter. That's my big bugaboo. Know it. Don't rely on other people. Get it and look at it and really know what you're studying, really, because that's the law. Thank you, everybody.
Comments by the mayor?
I too would like to welcome Brent to council. Look forward to having you being here. But I wonder if Zachary and Jonah are aware that they have some like vice council duties to perform as well. Well, I need them to make sure that the playground is in good shape. I need them to come in and look at the fire trucks once in a while. And the duties might expand as we get into this further. It's nice to see Brent's family here and be part of the Orange Village family. I ask that the family of Brent Silver consider coming back on January 8th when we swear in 2 more council people, and that night we'll have cake. No cake tonight.
Always cake.
Cake worthy?
Always cake.
Are having cake again next week, too. I'll take the opportunity now to invite the Orange Village public and everybody who's watching on screen to please join us next week as we acknowledge and honor Councilwoman Kluter and Councilman Braverman. Next week marks their last night as council people, and the 2 of them combined have 64 years of council experience and service for Orange Village. That is quite a number. I hope that we can get through the business next week really fast, because not only will I know Francis and Herb will have comments, I have significant comments next week, and as always, it's the last meeting of the year, and we need a lot of time for me to list all the department's accomplishments for the year as well. Weintraub status, we have been working really hard on this. We have a $1.2 million grant into the Clean Ohio Fund. We do a presentation to that board on Monday. I write this minute, Anna, do you remember when they decide?
I thought it was like February.
Remember when we'll hear, but we've just finished a presentation, put it together, and we put a $1 million grant request into the biennial state capital budget, and that is a major job.
For that purpose?
For the same purpose. And that is, we have to lobby all the county delegation reps. If you know anybody, please feel free to reach out to them. We'll tell you the name of the project, although the newsletter that is coming out before the end of the month.
Did you talk to one of
Yeah. Is going to have a full description of what we're trying to do here and encourage the public to put their thinking caps on, either help us lobbying the representatives who are going to make the decision and/or other ideas for fundraising. I have been contacted by 4 serious developers, about thoughts and talking and thinking about the piece that we are leveraging in order to preserve the rest of it.
For residents? Commercial?
Commercial. Residents, there's been some talk of like a senior facility, community. Too many people say apartments, mostly office.
How many acres? Will that be 32?
Approximately 24 will be on the far western edge, adjacent to the Orange Place South Extension. And then the eastern piece, 50-some acres, would be preserved. We have had a real lot of help and a real lot of support from the Chagrin River Watershed Partners and the Tinker Creek Watershed Partners. This piece of property is at the, what's the word?
Tributary? Is it like the tributary there?
The headwaters.
Yeah.
Where the 2 creeks meet. So they're pretty invested in, they like this project a lot. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I have had more conversations than I would like to have with members of council in Beechwood and with the mayor of Beechwood about, they are going to bring back up and dig back into the Mooney's ordinance. I have been assured.
Did they give you a timetable when that might be?
Talk to them in January.
They've got a new council person.
Or
Yeah, they have a new council president, they'll have a new council president.
Yeah, he buried himself that one day.
Email and got results.
Okay. pulled the pin on the hand grenade and then held it.
Oh, okay, and then I wrote in my notes to tell you about the meeting tomorrow, but I think I interrupted you and told you during your report. That there's
For interrupting.
is about-
Oh, can I interrupt then, too?
What?
Can I interrupt then?
But I'm going to be really proud tomorrow, actually. I don't always go to these meetings, but I'm really planning to go because I'm really proud because we will be the only community at the table that will have already done this. You know, Brooklyn has already banned the ban. Yeah, so.
Ban,
By Orange.
ban the ban.
It will take a surge of people.
Includes my comments tonight, but there will be a lot to say next week.
Thank you, Mayor.
Are we busy?
First off, I want to congratulate Mr. Silver. Welcome. Once again, I would like to offer condolences to Mr. Duber and his family on the loss of his grandmother. Mr. Zugan, I had a couple of questions for you about the rec trails, and if you had any updates for everybody as far as when it's going to start up again, and
We've not had a progress meeting, but the intention from the last one was that they were going to finish out in November, which they have on our rule, and that we will resume in the spring, weather pending. They'll be doing punch list items as weather permits on the areas that they've already completed trails. Obviously, restoration of grass and stuff like that will probably have to forgo till the spring.
Well, another piece of this that he didn't refer to is in January, February, the engineer is going to have a chance to have accumulated all the costs to date and outstanding bills. We're going to do that calculation and come back to you to talk about the orange wood.
that was one of my questions. Okay. And then when they do resume the project, are they going to finish off Harvard before they start Lander? Do you have any sense of?
The intention, yes, they will finish Harvard and then the Lander Road, but, there'll be more discussion on that, as they get ready to move.
Every time you see him.
And residents of Orangewood wanted to know, I assume that Harvard's going to still be closed, the same section, all the way from Lander to Brainerd, so people wouldn't be cutting through Orangewood when they do that, or has that not been decided?
No, the intention, early preliminary talk was that it will be closed, but it will be closed going westbound, so you will be able to go eastbound. So at least
Yeah, but just between Orangewood and Brainerd.
just between Orangewood,
Okay.
between
Orangewood and Lander.
Lander.
Orangewood and Lander.
Orangewood and Lander would be
Okay.
one way going eastbound. So that certainly helps the traffic with Orangewood and
Okay.
accessing the freeway and stuff. But again, there'll be more discussion when we have that progress meetings in Missouri.
There's not too much Lander traffic coming down into Orangewood to come out onto Harvard, is there?
I always go out to the Lander roadside, so, but a lot of residents have asked how they're going to route traffic that way, and,
Much, I don't think that.
okay. And then to echo the mayor's comments, so next week you'll want to get here early for, it's going to be standing room only to honor our two long-tenured.
Extra duty police officers to direct.
I already called. I called and said, maybe you should do that.
We'll have to get a ruling from everybody. It'll be like the Muni lot at a Browns game, what time people are going to line up there to make sure that
Going out with a big guy.
Tailgate, Scott?
Yeah.
Tailgate party?
ticket scalping, you name it.
Tailgating at 5, and then we'll have the meeting at the...
And there will be refreshments after next week's meeting.
And I saw that there were advertisements on Facebook. It was a little vague as to the time, but we'll see how long, it said after the meeting, I
Hopefully
believe.
we'll get an e-news out, but there's going to,
Well, we'll see how long the meeting is.
I don't know if we can do e-news, but if we can, we will. Our webmaster has passed away.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Britton's wife.
she did a good job.
Dennis Gritton's wife?
Oh,
Oh, Lord.
We're in between and don't know what we're going to do, and we might be out of business for a little while.
She was young.
Always been ill.
Yeah, she hadn't been well. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Sad, but he doesn't want any, visits or attention.
After the meeting, we do have to sign something, so if you can find Anna when we are done here. Is,
I don't think.
She doesn't know where, she has to go find it.
motion to adjourn the special council meeting of December 4th.
Motion made.
Second.
Luder,
Yes.
Braverman. Silver.
Yes.
Klein. Bilski.
Yes. We are adjourned.
It's going to do.